Today we're going to just talk about user experience. Why is it so vital to digital marketing?
First, a little about us. Hi, I'm Priscilla. I am a front-end developer at BigWing, and I work with code, front-end code, CSS, HTML. I also work with UI, UX design, and build out projects for our clients.
And I'm David. I'm a lead product designer at Legal Shield. So I work with designers, I work with engineers and product to create software applications, so web applications, native apps for iOS and Android.
The most important thing about us is our kids. These are our three boys, Leo, Rocky, and Clive. Rocky and Clive are twins. Apparently, Clive has an imaginary friend in this image. We didn't know about this until this picture. They are a motivation. They're what keep us going. They're the best. We couldn't go through this talk without giving them a shout out.
So if you don't know anything about user experience, this is a great website, a great group, Nielsen Norman Group. They say that user experience encompasses all aspects of the end user's interaction with the company, its services, and its products. So if you are a tech person, or if you're just a marketing person, or maybe you're just a client, everything that you do, everything that you bring to the table, everything that's a part of your job can help out the user experience. So a lot of times, like being a designer, sometimes people just think that it's on the designer to create the user experience. But everyone is contributing to make a great user experience.
Talk about the benefits of prioritizing the user's experience. Why is this important? Why should it be important to you, no matter what he said, no matter what your role is? It creates brand advocates. When I get excited about my experience with a brand, I talk about it. I tell my friend, my best friend, my coworkers, my mom, whoever, I talk about it, right? I want to tell people, hey, this subscription I'm using, it is bomb, you gotta check it out. Or this blog I'm reading, great content, Instagram account I'm following. I talk about it. I just become marketing for your brand because I'm advocating your brand. So if I have a good experience, it's advocating for you.
And it really is the key to facilitating conversions. If you don't have a good user experience, marketing is all about trying to do some type of call to action. And obviously, if you have a bad user experience, as things are getting frustrated, you can't understand what they're trying to communicate to you, then it's gonna be really hard to convert. And so that sucks.
It helps you to stand out in an oversubscribed world. We have all the options right now, right? I can be subscribed to so many blogs. I can follow so many different brands on Instagram. I have all the options, but I have limited time and energy. So I have to choose, right? Who I give my energy to, who I give my attention to in the digital world, especially me. I just don't have much time in my day to sit around on Twitter or to read blogs or to browse websites. I have limited time. So I'm very picky. So when you give your user a good experience, then they're going to get excited and they're going to say, you know what, I want to stick with this. I really like this content. I like this experience that I'm getting from this brand. And you're going to stand out.
And valuing the user experience is a common goal for everyone invested in the brand and product. Again, it's not just on the designer. It really comes from the top down. And we'll talk about this pretty soon, about the process of just being in a company, in a marketing agency, whatever it may be. But again, when everyone has this common goal of investing into it, the outcome's always just going to be better.
It's to tag on to that. It's also kind of like a good, it's a common goal that y'all should be working towards. So it's kind of a rallying type of thing. Hey, this is what we should all be about, no matter what role that you play. And so it's kind of a unifying goal, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It unifies you as a team. We're all working towards this. At the end of the day, we all want our users to have a good experience. So stakeholders, CEOs, designers, developers, whoever you are on a project, kind of has this common goal that they can work towards together.
So what makes a good user experience?
Familiarity. When I am familiar with something, it brings a sense of confidence, comfort. It's a good feeling, right? We all want to have a sense of familiarity. When we're in situations that are unfamiliar, it can be daunting, it can be scary, it can be stressful. And that's what you want to avoid with your user. So giving them a sense of familiarity with your product, with your app, your website, whatever it might be, helps them to feel at ease. When I'm familiar with something, I feel confident using it. I'm like, oh, you know what? I know this design. I know this layout. I know to expect the menu in this area. I know to be able to trust that the logo is always going to take me back to the home page. All these things and I might talk more website because that's what I do, but this applies across the board with how you reach your users. And so thinking through what are the things that they're familiar doing and how can I implement that for my users?
Usability. Obviously, again, if you can't use something, you can't consume something, obviously you're going to have a bad user experience. So this goes, again, beyond design and stuff like that. If you're the engineer and something's wrong with the server or something like that, I mean, if something's not usable, then obviously, it's going to be bad for you. It's going to be bad. It's going to be, your reputation is going to hurt so fast, right? There's so much coming at us today. So many marketing messages, so many people, so many brands doing the same service. It's so easy to go to market today that you really only kind of get one shot. Your reputation can go down real fast. So every aspect of that product, that message, whatever you're trying to communicate out, if it's not usable and it's not working, I mean, your brand's going to take a hit real fast.
I'd also tie into that accessibility and inclusiveness in your brand, including people, marginalized people, people of LGBTQ, people of color, including all of this into your brand and how you're representing yourself, making people feel included, no matter what their situation is. Also accessibility, making sure no matter how they're consuming your content, they can consume it through a screen reader, whatever it might be. You're developing for that, you're designing for that, you have the right contrasts. That all feeds into it being usable to your user, and your user not just being how you consume information, but how everyone consumes information across the board. Comfort. It's funny, I was thinking about this on my drive in this morning. What makes me feel comfort? And the first thing that came to my mind was Saturday morning pancakes. So my dad used to always make Saturday morning pancakes for us growing up. It was just his thing. I mean, he didn't cook too much, but this was his one thing that he was just really great at. And, the pancakes, we put peanut butter on our pancakes. It's amazing. You should try it. Syrup, so good. And that brings me a sense of comfort. It's why does that make me feel comfortable? Because it's familiar, it's usable, obviously, it's delicious, and it brings about that sense of comfort for me. So think through your target audience, your user group, what brings about that sense of comfort for them, and how can you incorporate it? On the flip side of that, something that is uncomfortable would mean that it's stiff, that it's forced, that it's maybe brings a sense of stress to your users, and those are the things that you want to avoid with how they interact.
Confidence. Everything's kind of building up on each other now. So if you're familiar with something, you can use something, you're comfortable with it, then you're going to have confidence in making a decision whether you want to do whatever call to action is that you're trying to get to. One example I think is it's kind of like a relationship, right? So you're having this relationship with brands and stuff like that. So when I first met Priscilla and we first started hanging out, we were in Austin, Texas. We had a good first couple of days hanging out and we really connected to each other. So after that, I was very confident in asking her out on a real date.
Also my dance skills, that played a role also.
And I don't know. I don't know all about that. But because we had a good relationship, I was very confident in keep going forward and extending that relationship. So that's kind of what you're trying to do. I mean, you're dating, you're dating brands and stuff like that. And so when you have a good user experience, you're really confident and you'll be able to do more stuff.
All these things add up to a positive experience, which is what you're trying to provide for your user. You're trying to gift them with a positive experience and a positive interaction. So if they're familiar, if it's usable, if it's comfortable, they feel confident, they have a positive experience. And then it ties back to what we talked about earlier. They become your brand advocates. They want to tell people about it, all of these things. It's kind of like a snowball effect.
So what does not make for a good user experience? And sorry, I know my voice is terrible. I got a cough. So trying to be so unique that you overcomplicate it. So we've always heard the saying, you're trying too hard. A lot of companies do this. A lot of people are trying to stand out so much. We were at a restaurant yesterday, and I couldn't even read it. I don't even know. They're trying to be so cool with how they're trying to label stuff. I didn't even know what to order because they're trying to be so unique. And so sometimes brands do this, where you kind of miss the mark because you're trying to be out there. If everyone in your industry is over here and you're trying to be so far over there, they don't even know what you're even trying to sell or trying to communicate anymore because you're trying to be so unique, you're going to overcomplicate stuff and start confusing the user.
Noise, overconnection should trump everything. I'm sorry, didn't mean to bring politics into this. I got a quote for you guys. Thank you for that one laugh. Confusion and clutter are the failure of design, not the attributes of information. Sorry, I got this last minute, so I couldn't include it in my slide. I'll say that one more time. Confusion and clutter are the failure of design, not the attributes of information. That's by Edward Tufte. This is very important. It is important not to have content just to have content, just because you feel like there should be content there. What's the purpose? You know, what is it doing for your user? What is it serving? What is it accomplishing for your brand? Don't create noise just to create noise. Don't have all the colors and all the fonts and all the pizzazz just to have all the pizzazz. Like, make it be purposeful and think about how all of your assets, your development decisions, your design decisions, your content decisions, how are those going to affect our user connection? Is this feeding into the user connection that we want? Is this enhancing the user connection? Because that should be the most important thing in your decisions.
All right, cool, but what now? So this is kind of the process. Again, this is very broad. You know, we could go into all these things and do, you know, again, we only have 20, 30 minutes. We could go into all these things for, you know, days on end, but I know this is very broad. So anyways, first one here is identity. So again, trying to bring it back to the foundation, you know, if your company, if you're a marketing agency and your client doesn't know who they are and what they're trying to do, it doesn't matter how good and how talented you are, you're not gonna be able to produce a great user experience because you might be doing a lie, you know? You might say, oh, this is what they can do or whatever, but that's not really what they're trying to do. So knowing exactly who you are and what you're trying to do as a company and you understand your identity is kind of the first step of creating a good user experience.
Mission, have a clear mission. Have a clear mission when it comes to the campaign that you're running, when it comes to the project that you're on. What's our mission building this website, building this app, building this campaign? What is our mission in this project? What are we trying to accomplish? And don't just have the mission and don't just define it in the beginning, but keep it in the forefront, right? So bring it up in meetings, in conversations, in your Slack channel. Like, keep it up in the forefront of everyone's mind that's on the project or that's on this campaign or whatever it might be. This is our mission. Like, keep it there so that you guys can all see and kind of be held accountable to that, and it can be something that you can measure yourself against, if you will. Like, hey, are we meeting this? Are we accomplishing this goal? Are we reaching this mission? Are we keeping this in the forefront, or are we straying and bringing in too many opinions, or, you know, making decisions based on certain people being more dominant, or are we really aligning with the mission? So have a mission and then keep it in the forefront.
Identifying the problems that you want to solve, right? Again, so what is your brand? What is your product? How's your service solving problems? When you understand the problems that you're trying to solve, it's really going to start guiding you into what you're trying to do and how you're going to communicate all that stuff. So, and that's how you kind of, you know, set yourself up for a great user experience. There's a problem out there, and your company, your brand, your service is the solution. When you start identifying yourself as the solution, it's going to be a good user experience because you know what you're trying to do. And so identifying what those problems are is very, very key.
Also, one thing to add on, sorry, before you go to the next one. Problems is asking the question, what problem are we trying to solve, can be a great question when it comes to client interaction, because if there comes about a request, that can be kind of a good, hey, what's the goal of this? What problem are we trying to solve by incorporating this, whatever it might be? And that's just a good way to kind of steer the conversation in a good direction, and to, kind of like I said earlier, to kind of feed out, like, to sift out, like, what is really a good decision and what's going to really drive your user connection, and to encourage good decisions, as opposed to decisions that are made based on, opinions or feelings or more like last-minute decisions. So it might be a great contribution, it might be a great idea, but like talk about, okay, is this solving a problem, or what problem are we trying to solve, and identifying that can be really helpful. Audience, find your target audience. I'm gonna pull my phone out because I have a couple notes on here about this one. And I want you to chime in also. Finding your target audience is important. The first 3 items tend to really help you, like guide you to your target audience, right? So if you have a defined identity, if you have a clear mission, you're acting upon your mission, and you're solving problems, then your target audience tends to help reveal itself. You can't sell everything to everyone, so your target audience needs to be defined and see who are you trying to reach, who can relate to your product, who can relate to your brand, who you're trying to reach out to the most. Some good ways to do this is find out what social media networks they're using and why they're using those. What's attracted to them about this? Why are they interacting with this? How are they interacting with it? What draws them to that? Ask those questions. Find out how do they like to consume products? What's their expectation in consuming a product? What are they expecting when they come to my website or to my app, when they interact with this blog post or this tweet? What's their expectation? And how can we meet that? And how can we kind of solve that, what they're bringing to the table? So find your target audience. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I think a big mistake people have is that they think, oh, my product, my service is for everyone. Nope, it's not. You can't speak to everyone. You can't tug at everyone's heart. You can't inspire everyone. So even what I'm saying right now, I know not everyone's jiving with it. That's fine. But so when a company really stands to understand who their target audience is, it's better for them to try to get 100% of their target audience than to try to get, 5 or 10% of everyone. It's just gonna help you when you know your target audience and you create a relationship with them. It keeps improving your product and service better.
Thanks for letting us chat with you guys. We have plenty of time for questions. I also wanted to throw out that some UX tools that we use just to keep it practical. We use Optimal Workshop at BigWing for a lot of our user testing and tree testing, card sorting. It can be really helpful. We used to use a tool called UserBob for user testing initially. Those are great tools to use to try to help create the data to make decisions off of. When you have data there that shows why something might be a good path or why it's not a good path, it's a good way to encourage good decisions. Hey, I want to put 20 navigation items in the menu. Well, let's look at the user data. Let's look at what the users need and expect. What is a good idea and what's clutter, and kind of just to make that off of the data.
Yeah, if you're able to bring users in, bring people in your target audience into your company, into the agency, and see what they think. How would they organize the information? See if it makes to them. Test often, test early, test a lot, and it's okay. If you're wrong, if you thought hey, this is the way we need to go, and you start talking to people and it starts guiding you in the right direction, that's fine. We got to be cool with change, because your users are the ones that, again, at the end of the day will probably be paying the bill. So.
And don't just test and validate internally, but also externally,
Yeah.
right? So moderated and unmoderated user testing is really helpful. Don't just pick you can pick user groups, but be careful how picky you get, because you want to make sure that you're testing for all the users and not just the users that you picture or that you would kind of pick. So there's so many great tools out there. I know Tom talked about a lot of great tools yesterday, so many good tools to incorporate this into your projects and into your brand. And user experience is not complicated, but it's very important and it can make a huge difference. Thanks for letting us chat with you guys.